All right, super great to see you. That's for flipping sure. Episode 113, March 29th, 1917, third year anniversary. Totally cool. Let's start off with your quote, Telemachus. We have no quarrel with the German people. We have no feeling towards them, but one of us of sympathy and friendship. It was not upon their impulse that their government acted entering this war. Wilson. Oh my gosh, really nice one. Thank you very much. Because Ross, well, it's going to be brought up in a tiny little bit here. Let me go through it super quickly to say hello to everyone. Like I said, great to see you, Telemachus, Charles Atora, Harold Bosma, Brian R. Smith. I know I'm with you, man. It was quite a shock this morning to see that fair amount of snow. I was like, what the heck is going on? And you're right, we're also expecting to get that freezing rain. You actually have it worse because you have a much more hillier city than I live in. I don't know how in the world you guys park during the wintertime. It's just nuts. And great to see you as well, Manry Mike. I will say this in the side note. Remember, I'm trying to, this is primarily going to be just a monster, I'm hoping anyways, just to say thank you so much for what you guys bring to me every single week. Because like I've said before, this is the juice. Like I couldn't even imagine what, I'd be so diminished just as a person, as you know, on the bigger level. But I mean, for Great War exploration, I wouldn't be anywhere near where I'm at. So thank you so flipping much. To say this about the contributions, man, you might popped in some stuff here. Just his stuff. When I was taking a look at the Wikipedia thing about it later on, no, the Goodreads bit on his contribution. I was like, oh my gosh, that amount of provocative material, at least for me, it could be an hour-long discussion on that. Just that bit, it's just incredible. Yes, it is Brian R. Smith. Oh my gosh, I forgot to do that. Thanks a lot for letting me put in the new thingamajigs. Yes, it's the Europa Simulazione thingamajig that Harold Bosma has been having out. Remember, he's also the designer's a friend with. That's a double point, so I don't feel okay. I feel okay with that one. He's a friend. That designer is a friend with Paul Hederer, so that, which I think is totally neat. So yeah, that's what Brian R. Smith was asking everybody else who isn't reading the comments, which you should be doing. So there you go. Anyways, yes, it does look. We were looking at that before, and I think that perhaps, I'm not sure, Harold Bosma, way back when, if that's what kind of made us also start looking at Blitzkrieg. 1916. Prelude to Blitzkrieg, I do believe. Yes. Hopefully I got that right. Cheapers jumping. As we know, last week, holy moly, did I ever get into a lot of mistakes. Nicholas III, and so on and so forth. So there's another disclaimer. We'll start off right off the bat. I'm not a historian. I think, well, you guys know that. The regular mud gluttons know that. But other people may not know that. And I have to remind myself that. I think occasionally I'm awfully opinionated, but that's about it. All right, let's add to the stage and we'll go from there, I hope. Come on, you. And we'll take a look at some of the, I've got to add that one to the, I've got to remove that one. And then we got to add that one. Hey, it worked this time. Okay, goody two shoes. So 47 days to Can Games, as far as I know. Welcome, everyone. Please let me know what you've been up to. It's like I said, I primarily want to stick to mostly the stuff that you guys have popped in. So hopefully you guys are going to start seeing it later. As per flipping usual, we're going to, I think, yet again with you fellow mud gluttons, the regulars that know me by now, is my Great War or any gaming or anything practically. My eyeballs are way bigger than my stomach. I say 1,000 things that I want to do and whatnot to get them. Some of them half done and some never even see the light of day. A lot of orphans, as we know. Hopefully get to some. Progress, not perfection. That's why I'm looking at it. Anyways, live stream fact checker and interesting tidbits. I had no idea. You guys probably do know this. Potatoes can kill you, and I don't mean by throwing them at people. I mean that it creates toxin, solamine, I do believe, or whatnot. This is all on a side thing going from. I also think this is also a partial lead in with Meandering Mike's contribution, for goodness sakes. I think this connected me to something about I Was There, one of the podcasts that the Great War Association puts on YouTube. And that, his Meandering Mike's thing, we'll get to it, reminded me of that. And then one of the comments later on in the YouTube thingamajig mentioned about two escapees, really hungry. One of them ate some rotten potatoes they found and was dead 2 hours later. I was like, what? I didn't know any of those things. The Kaiser has diabetes, supposedly, right? This week has been diagnosed with diabetes. I can see that. I think stress also can bring about diabetes. So, and I'm assuming the Kaiser's been under a bit of stress lately. But I don't know about you guys. I was thinking about this when I was looking at this summary. In a weird way, it's right now, like what's coming along. Look, the Americans haven't joined the war yet. Like, who the heck popped it up there? Who was it that popped it up there? Someone popped up the thingamajig. Who did it? Darn it, somebody did. Anyways, it's just right around the corner that President Wilson's going to declare. He's going to go to Congress, and then they're going to go and declare war on Germany. I'm thinking, right, that hasn't happened yet, but there's so many good things happening right now. I'm sorry to say, Charles Latorre, just around the corners, I'm just going to show you. In May, Caporetto's coming. Don't worry, remember, we know the ending, so it's going to be good for the Italians. But they're about to get into a lot of trouble, which is kind of a weird way from what I've been reading as well. It was kind of like a wake-up call for the Italian populace in a sense. I think a lot of them at that point didn't really feel like they were part of a war, that thing. But then all of a sudden, when they started feeling threatened, when the Austrians and the Germans were getting awfully darn close, that's when I think they also, got up as a group. I don't know. I'm just from what I've been reading. Long live the Republic. Supposedly that was posted in a headline in one of the Russian newspapers this week, which I thought, oh my gosh, that's obviously got a little thing. And yet again, William Aarons was mentioning last week there in the comments about, in his translator's notes, about how unfortunate it is that they almost like are very similar to the French Revolution and whatnot. The SS Tyndareus and the Middlesex Regiment, hopefully we'll go take a look at that later on, is it was a ship that was sinking, and the Middlesex Regiment thought they were going to drown and just sat there or stood there and were singing on whatever the heck they were singing, but they ended up getting rescued. But I guess it was like some whatever, you get the idea. February 8th, and just a tiny little timeline here, just yet again of showing like how many good things are really happening as far as I'm concerned for Germany and whatnot. I mean, the Russian Revolution just to kick in. Romania's getting wiped, so on and so forth. Okay, the Ottomans aren't doing so great in down in Mesopotamia and whatnot, but in Persia. But I mean, everything with a grain of Palestine, everything with a grain of salt. February 8th or 9th, the Germans begin falling back to the Hindenburg Line. I'm not sure exactly when it is, but I mean, all these, I'm just trying to look at some of what's coming around the corner here, or some things that have happened. February 1st, Germany resumes unrestricted submarine warfare. I'm assuming I mean resumes. I think the first time it was still unrestricted. Was it not at the very beginning? Maybe somebody can help me out with that. March 15th, the Tsar abdicates. April 2nd, President Wilson is going to ask Congress for a declaration of war on Germany. Like I said, we're jumping the gun a little. That's only next week, for goodness sakes. April 3rd, Vladimir Lenin leaves from Russia yet again. I was shocked. I thought he was already there, for goodness sakes. I know this has got nothing to do with ever, but I'm sure a lot of people know about Robert Bloch, an American author. I was surprised. I didn't know he was that old, like from that way back when, but he was born on the 5th of April, 1917. And April 16th, the Nivelle offensive is going to kick in, which I wasn't sure exactly when that was going to kick in, but my God, is that ever kicking in late? Because I'm just already reading repeatedly. The Germans have been knowing for ages what's been going on, and they're already like reorganizing their troops into the stronger areas. It's just like, Lord have mercy. Anyways, that's it. Update on which World War I related games people have played. Well, we know that Harold Bosma's got Caporetto 1917 on the stove, which is going to be super great. Here's your engagement question of the week. The other monster ones I want to go is pop it in the comments, for goodness sakes, people. Anything that you can think of like, hey, this is a half decent Great War game, movie, or whatever. Meander Mike's about to do one in a minute. You're about to find out. Books, etc. For goodness sakes, give it to us. This war is at the bottom, a struggle for popular government and for liberty. That's a quote he's been was mentioned in a newspaper about this week, and I just was like, wow, this is interesting. Karl Bosma says, will share some pictures once set up. Wicked. Thank you so much. And it's got that similar look, that style I find of like that Napoleonics one there. We're looking at it, which you've got a PDF version now of the War Diary magazine there, Harold Bosma. So anyways, there you are. I just thought that was interesting that this war is at the bottom of the struggle for popular government and for liberty. I'm not going to get sarcastic and cute about that. I'm just because there's a lot of hidden whatevers there, but I just thought that was rather interesting. Yep, we got a 10 minutes in, not bad at all. Here's the leaderboard. I gave everybody 5 points last week. Obviously, doesn't change the standings whatsoever, but hey, it makes you feel good. At least it would do me anyways. So here we go. I'm going to give you your first clue, and I'm going to pop it in the banners. And as per recommended by Brian R. Smith and Meandering Mike, for goodness sakes, can you also pop them in the comments so we can take a look at what in the world's going on here? Okay, so here you go. I'm going to, and as per flipping usual, if you guys haven't clued in by now, this is going to be your first clue. I've been in the news a lot recently. Who or what am I? Because I like to do that. I like to be, whatever. So there you go. There's your first one. And anybody who's watching that's new, you get a point, even guessing. So there you go. And if you get the right answer, you get an additional 6 points. And away we go from there. And usually it's extremely obscure and it tends to get a bit more specific. And we have 6 questions or 6 clues. And there we go. Corvinus Wargaming says Ukraine. Great to see you. That's for flipping sure. You're going to get a point, and you are incorrect. I'm sorry to say. But like I said, you're going to get a point. So hold on here. I want to make sure that I do. And Meandering Mike says Signal Corps. Cool. I love it because that is one thing that I would really like to find out more about. Excuse me. Telemachus says Larry Elmore. I don't know who that person is. And well, there it is. But you are incorrect. And now let me get to the second clue. I've had a few names over the years. Who am I? And I'm going to put that in the comments as well. Yeah, I know that there's just whatever. I try to do like a little bit. Maybe I'll continue doing it on in the third year. I tried to like little nods to certain people. Obviously, here there's a few here that aren't here, but oh well, that's such as life. I know, for example, Charles Latorre is here. Like I've got a tandem with Hissy Cat and Charles Latorre, but then I also have a tandem with Brian R. Smith and Hissy. Well, actually, a trio with Meandering Mike as well. Oh my gosh! Telemachus says warships. You are incorrect, but you're going to get a point. And Harold Bosma says the Ottoman Empire. I'm not saying a word, but you are also incorrect. I'm going to put another one in here. The one I used during the war actually came from the 1830s. Who or what am I? And I'll put that in the comments as well. Interesting. I wonder who's going to get one. Oh, Corvinus Wargaming says this is the tough one. Well, you get a point because I don't know if that's a clue or one of your answers. So you're getting one anyways. There you go. That's the way to do it. That's the way Meandering Mike does it. You're evoking your inner Meandering Mike. Look at it that way. All right. So no one gets that one. I'm going to give you another. Oh, gosh. I think this is going to be the one. I think I should have. You know what? I'm going to switch up. Oh, hold on. Meandering Mike says pistols. You're incorrect, but you're going to get a point. Charles Latorre says artillery. Excellent one. But you are also incorrect. And Telemachus says rifles. See, you're under the same way of looking at indirectly Charles Latorre, but certainly as Meandering Mike. Harold Bosman says cheese pot French gun. You are incorrect, but you're going to get a point. And William Aaron says trains. Excellent one, but you are incorrect. And hold your horses. Yeah, I can't do the next one. If I did that one, you guys are going to get it for sure. I think this one, if people are paying attention, you're certainly going to get it. Or you have been. So the next one is one of my streets was mentioned last week. And I'll put it in the comments as well. There you go. one of my streets was mentioned last week. Who or what am I? Then I'm going to get you the easy one, which will be next. There's not too many left. Telemachus says desire. Oh, wow. Do I ever like that? That's more of a meandering Mike, like, if you know what I mean. Istanbul says meandering Mike. But you are incorrect. Oh, I like the way you're thinking, though. That is for flipping sure. You're so, oh my gosh. Well done, guys, man. Like, really. Oh, anyways, hold on here. I'm going to get you, go back to, now this one, you're going to go, okay. I get, oh my God, Charles Torres Athens. Nice one. But you are also incorrect. Hold on. Let me pop it in the thingamajig. I'm so worried now that it's going to go in. Well, you guys are going to figure it out for sure. But that's the way it works. Hold on here. Okay, here we go. You ready? Boom! Kaboom! Harold Bosma, you do it. You do it. You do it. Excellent, man. You got it. I'm going to put it in. Well, I'm going to put the next one in. I used to be a Swedish fortress. And I'll just give you the rest of them. Well done, Harold Bosma. Yeah, the street I was talking about was one of the three that radiate out or whatever from the center or something. It's the Nevsky Prospector or something or other. Well done, Harold Bosma. Excellent. Oh, wow. Okay, and then I'm going to get you the next one, which was, I was for a time known as the City of Three Revolutions. And then, boink. The answer is Petrograd or St. Petersburg. All these things I didn't know about. Well, you guys know a lot more about these things than I do. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Meandering Mike. Remember, we were talking about that. I wanted to find out if over time they've decided to. Oh, very nice quiz question. Thanks a lot, Brian R. Smith. Yeah, I was like for sure that. Hold on, I'm going to get rid of hide the banners now. Yeah, I was like, okay, well, we certainly been around that bit. I didn't realize that this is a kind of a neato thing that I thought was interesting. Maybe you guys know about it. Is that once they changed something from I don't know if it was to Petrograd or whatever, but it changed it from no longer being affiliated with the saint, but it was more towards affiliated with Peter the Great. Something like that, but I thought that was kind of neat. But anyways, obviously it's been so weird, man, to know what's about to happen. My gosh. Okay, so I can get rid of the trivia thing. Thanks a lot, guys. That was a lot of fun. All right, so let's get back to this. You guys can take a look at this. We got the World War I narrative logic puzzles by Telemachus this week. What did I miss? That was up here. Was there something I wanted to miss, or did I not miss? Nope, we're all right. Did I go by anybody yet? Nope. Let's do the, let's go to your thingamajig, which was last week. We'd missed it anyways. Then we're off to, I'm going to show you very quickly what I want to talk about, or we're certainly going to be talking about, is after your, we're doing the race to save the Lafayette Escadrille's secret weapon, Northern France, 1916. Corvinus Wargaming says, there's a YouTube channel for a Russian history museum in New York State that did a lecture on the Russian mobilization in World War I. That would be nice. Oh my gosh. Thanks for reminding me. I'll pop it in the links later. I don't think I have it in here. But I found on the Internet Archive, you can get the Tsar's diaries from 19, so I would, well, it's all because I wanted to find out that bloody French book that he was reading about Caesar and his conquest of Gaul. Darn it. And there's another book I just found at the Internet Archive. The fall of the, the fall of the Habsburgs during World War I or something. Indian Idell mentions it in one of the week that was his thingamajigs, or their version of it. Oh shoot, I've got it. I'll pop it in the sources and links. Thanks, Corvinus Wargaming, because you've given me enough stuff there. Obviously, I just have to go for go take a look at and I'm gonna go find out more stuff about this. Community contributions. Yep, we're gonna go look at Meandering Mike and the Very Long Engagement. And like I thought, which was neat, is that brought me down a little garden path. I went off into Wonderland. There's a few books here. You probably, I mean, it's not the same, especially when we went into took a look at Meandering Mike's thing about whatever. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna go look at some other romancy type stuff or whatever, and that stuff. This is very different. And that thing I was telling you about, the I Was There podcast, was about I hid in a French lady's cupboard for 4 years. That was all brought out because of Meandering Mike and the very long engagement thing and the jig. And we're going to go take a look at that. And it's shocking. The Garage Shed found a bookstore near his new home that looks like it'll be taking a lot of his money. It's the way it goes. The Junior General with a special nod to Hissy Cat and Charles Zatora. Oh my gosh, we are definitely. I want to go and take a look at all the World War I related stuff. You could play. I'm not kidding you. If you want to, you could do the cutouts and do the Christmas True soccer game. And I went that. I went, oh my God, I've got to mention that to Hissy Cat. And then later on, when I saw all these things for Charles Zatora, I was mentioning like I wanted to do a little miniature thing. Then later on, I was like, oh my God, I wish I had a Cricut because like that way I could cut. You know what I mean? Those beautiful, intricate designs or whatever on sticker paper or whatever. And away you go. Oh my gosh. 1917 Montreal Canadiens hockey team for Brian R. Smith. I went and took a little bit more, just a tiny bit more about it. There's actually an article last week, I think, that the coach for the Montreal Canadiens is bitching and whining. And it was funny. He was talking to some other people about this, and they automatically said, gee, doesn't that sound shocking about Habs fans? I'm sorry, I had a really good laugh about that. But supposedly he was complaining that they should replay one of the games, and so he was disputing that the Seattle Metropolitans should have won the Stanley Cup. Anyways, Toffs, Hissy Cat's not here, but I've got the link. I'll pop the link there later on. But the Old Fashioned Football Shirt Company, I think I went TOFFOS, which I think is a candy, for goodness sakes. The Great War Classified. I don't know if we'll get to it, but yet again, Brian R. Smith says right on. I know it was hilarious. I had a good old laugh when people were going, well, like saying, yeah, gee, about the Habs fans. I thought it was pretty funny. The Great War Classified by Telemachus. Neat, I will say this, the neat, pretty cool looking jerseys, gold and yellow for the Seattle Metropolitans. And then later on one of the later on pages, they have a freaking picture of a puck for the, oh, come on, Meandering Mike, help me out here. The something totems, whatever totems, if Meandering Mike's listening. Oh, darn it. Anyways, they had a picture of that puck. And I went, oh my God, that's crazy. Aha. And you guys, since it's the 3rd year anniversary, I'm giving you guys, oh my God, we're 22 minutes in, so I better hurry up, is you guys have a choice of 3 videos. Then we're going to go off into the thing. So you guys decide right now right now, not at this exact, the Seattle Totems. Thank you, Meandering Mike. That's exactly, I was trying to figure out who they were. But yeah, there's a little picture of their logo on a puck. I thought, what the hell? That's so cool. Anyways, you guys have 3 choices for your video of the week this week. You can watch King Albert, the first of Belgium, and Belgian officials at an airfield, due to the fact that we were talking about King Albert last week. Holy smokes, is that guy a tall son of a bee? Either that or everybody else is short. Lenin's activities early in 1917, mass demonstrations, shouting at the crowd, probably shouting as well. Lenin clean shaven in Finland, so you can watch that one. Or as another shout out towards Charles Zatora, and I don't know if there's a baseball fan. I don't even know if he likes baseball, for goodness sakes. Highlights from the 1917, but it was about Chicago. Highlights from the 1917 World Series Game 1, the Chicago White Sox versus the New York Giants from Comiskey Park in Chicago, Illinois. So you guys have your choice of 3 there. And then I was fascinated. I wanted to talk to you guys about Adjutant Introuvable, which I think I've done before. And lo and behold, he's got version 2 out. I haven't looked at it yet, but there's a YouTube video about it on version 2. I've mentioned this before. That is a solo mechanism, solo bot kind of thing for miniatures plays. The version 1 was focused maybe a little bit towards Napoleonics. I used it for ancients. Worked fine. I loved it. So there we go. Let's go off into let's hustle. Because I also want to go to William Aarons' ATA and would like to watch at least one video. And I still want to take a look at oh my God, what am I? Yeah, we're going to do this and then straight off to Meandering Mike, for goodness sakes. So here it is, World War I narrative logic puzzle. And let's go off into, we don't have to do the other one because I didn't get back to it, if you know what I mean. So we're going straight fresh. Hold on, Aaron's got to find it first. Nope, we're getting there. We're getting there. Come on, you. It was the left. Charles Sator says, went from supporting the Cubs in Chicago as a child and tolerated their losing, and then coming to San Diego and management selling off all the good players if they had a good year. Oh, I didn't know that Chicago had two teams. So what was the other one? Was that it was something White Sox or something? Is that what I said? I thought that, yeah, the White Sox. And you said the Cubs. All right. So sorry, I don't know if you're would be horrified. And Manny Mike says, Prince Albert, do you have Prince Albert in a can? Oh, Jesus H. Oh my God. And I don't have it queued up. I actually, Meandering Mike, had as an honorary mud glutton for Mrs. Meandering and having to put up with you. I also had a little snippet, but I don't have it listed. I'm going to have to do it as maybe next week or something. It's about Antarctica and whatnot. I found another headline, an article about, it's about Scott, not Shackleton, but still. When I saw it, I went, oh no, I got to pop this in for the 3rd year anniversary for Mrs. Meandering, especially due to the fact that she has to deal with you and your, I'm sure she has her own version of option F, Meandering Mike, for you. And it probably ends with off. Sorry. I just had to do that. Hopefully that's not my Telemachus anew for me, and hopefully it's anew for Meandering Mike's. But anyways, let's go into, where am I here? Nope, we're almost there. Yeah, so hopefully I can find that, because certainly Mrs. Meandering is an honorary mud glutton having to deal with you. That's for bloody sure. Let's be honest. All right, where are we here? The race to save the Lafayette Escadrille's secret weapon, Northern France, 1916. In 1916, the war in the skies over the Western Front was becoming increasingly brutal. The Lafayette Escadrille, a squadron of American volunteer pilots flying for the French Air Service, had been achieving significant success against German aircraft. Their reputation as skilled and daring aviators was growing, but they had a secret weapon that few outside the squadron knew about: whiskey and soda. And I've seen pictures. I think we've actually posted them on World War I Image of the Day. 2 lion cubs that served as their mascots and symbols of defiance. The presence of the lions, originally gifted to the squadron by a French supporter, provided an incredible boost to morale. Pilots returning from harrowing dogfights found comfort in their presence, and it became a superstition that rubbing whiskey's mane before a mission would bring good luck. Cool. However, in early October 1916, intelligence reports suggested that German spies in Paris had learned about the mascots and believed they were somehow tied to Allied communications. Convinced that the lions represented a hidden code or secret message system, the Germans plotted to capture or kill to disrupt squadron operations. That is so cool. A false report from a French double agent in the German command suggested that a saboteur had already infiltrated the airfield with the goal of poisoning the lions before they could be relocated. The squadron was put on high alert, but time was running out. The Germans truly believed the mascots were critical to the war effort. An attack on the squadron's airfield might be imminent. Question: if you were tasked with saving the squadron's morale and preventing the Germans from exploiting the situation, what would be the best course of action? A. Come on, Meandering Mike, you better start coming up with an F. A. Immediately relocate the lions to no performance anxiety there, I hope. A. Immediately relocate the lions to a secure shadow deep with French-controlled territory, ensuring they cannot be taken or harmed. B. Use the lions as bait, setting a trap for the German saboteur and eliminating the threat permanently. C. Spread false information that the lions had already been sent to Paris, leading the Germans to waste resources searching for them elsewhere. I haven't even finished reading this, and it's already my favorite. D. Arm the squadron's ground crew and establish a 24-hour watch over the lions, ensuring no saboteur can get close. I mean, I'm sorry, this even has a game written. I mean, little 1 to 72 figures or something, the little plastic dudes you can get. E. Smuggle the lions to the United States using diplomatic channels to disguise them as a political gift, keeping them safe from German hands. I've got enough flipping 1 to 72 planes painted too now. And what does Corvinus Wargaming says C, false information. Yeah, I haven't really thought about it yet. And we're still waiting for F. Clues and false reports. A spy captured near the airfield had a map marking the location of the squadron and notes mentioning whiskey and soda, though it was unclear if they understood what they really were. A French intelligence officer warned that German operatives in Paris had been instructed to disrupt the Americans at any cost. A false report suggested the line, yes, we've got an F. A false report suggested the lions had already been poisoned, but they showed no signs of illness. The squadron's commander received a coded message from an unknown source claiming the attack was only a diversion for a larger German bombing raid. Some pilots dismissed the entire affair as enemy psychological warfare meant to shake their confidence before a major battle. Boy, I would love to find out about that on a side note for a discussion topic about psychological warfare during the Great War, wouldn't you? Holy smokes. Here we go. You guys ready for option F? Oh my God, that would be such... I'm just trying to think of some kind of weird little slogan or some kind of like saying. I'll go for option F. Anyways, no one else would know what the hell we're talking about. F, add ice cubes to whiskey. Oh, I love you to bits. Add ice cubes to whiskey and soda. Drink up and enjoy life with no worries. Oh, nice. I can almost see them sitting up with their feet up, looking up at the sand and playing. Oh, my God. Yeah, smoking everywhere. Almost like, oh, forget it. I'll just shut up. I'm just thinking of Apocalypse Now, the surf thing and all that. Discussion topics. How did morale and superstition play a role in the effectiveness of military units during World War I? How did animals serve as more than just mascots in wartime? Well done. What were the risks and benefits of using misinformation to deceive the enemy? How did espionage and sabotage shape the war beyond the front lines? Got to be one of my favorite topics. My gosh. Could a seemingly minor event like the loss of a mascot truly impact the outcome of missions? Oh my gosh, I do believe you've seen it as well. The amount of craziness people have gone to try to get stuff like the flag, all that stuff. Best course of action and reasoning. The best answer is, I just remember I'm thinking of Sharp watching the TV show. That's all from I know about that type of stuff. The best answer is C. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Sorry. We might as well do it then. We might as well do it. I screwed that up, didn't I? Corvinus Wargaming. Charles Latorre, my Sicilian, says something like a little more to the point. Drop some bags of lying poopy on a local German airfield and tell them your significant others will be eating this if you touch our lions. You're reminding me, Charles Latorre, who was it? Do you remember we were finding out about that? They did. I think they just made it out of the way. Remember, it was one of those ships, German ships that, was it a German ship? I can't remember. It was one of those whatevers, and they were just getting away. They were pretending to be the other side, and they were getting away with it. And just at the very end, the radio transmitter basically said, "Kiss my ass." Do you remember that? And they oh my God, they just made it around, just made it away because the British captain went, "Screw this," and it was like, yeah, I can't remember who the hell they were, but I just thought that was hilarious. Well done, man. People have a good idea about spying and secret operations in World War II from movies and TV, but not so much from the Great War. I know. And that's why I would love to find out more about it, for sure. Well, let's go to what we just found out about. Best course of action and reasoning. We're doing all right. C, spread, and you're right, Corvinus Wargaming. Spread false information that the lions had already been sent to Paris, leading the Germans to waste resources searching for them elsewhere. Physically relocating the lions, A, might have been a safer long-term solution, but it would take time and could have been intercepted. Using them as bait, B, would have been too risky as it put them and the squadron in unnecessary danger. Defending them directly, D, would have left the airfield vulnerable to a larger attack, and smuggling them to the U.S., E, would have required too much coordination and diplomatic risk. By spreading misinformation, the squadron could convince the Germans to look elsewhere, buying valuable time while maintaining morale. In reality, the lions were never harmed. You suckered me in, though, Telemachus. And the Lafayette Escadrille continued their daring missions, ultimately helping the tide of air superiority in favor of the Allies. And the next one for next week, if I get it queued up at some point, will be the disappearance of the Golden Cipher, Ottoman Turkey, 1917. Ooh, Corvinus Wargaming. It's got you written all over it, doesn't it? All right, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to go back to the narrative because now we're going to go off to take a look at this, what you guys haven't seen yet, but you're about to. And it's Meandering Mike's contribution. And thank you again, Telemachus, and offer to Meandering Mike's thing, which is awesome. Here we go. Boink, and there we are. All right. There we are. And I'm going to get rid of me so we can see it. You can see it better. Thanks a lot. Yeah, and Meandering Mike, it was like the reason why I was like, oh, is it going to be a video? I wasn't sure if you, because it looked so much like your video picture at the beginning. So that's why I thought you were just sending me whatever. But I went and looked for some fun stuff for it. Published in 1990, a very long engagement. And it's a book, and then they eventually made it a movie, and we'll find out a little bit more about it, a French film, a French book. Published in 1991, unravel the mystery of the fate of a group of French deserters during World War I. Often considered the best World War I story that you have probably never read or watched. I know pretty darn sure, based on, I think Meandering Mike had mentioned this maybe over a year ago on our show. Based on that, I ended up snagging a copy for Zoe Duport. So anyways, let's go and take a look at some other stuff that I've got queued up for this, I hope. I'm going to get rid of this for a second, and then I'm going to go to make sure I've got the website up. Boink. So I went for Goodreads, so we can go and take a look at what a little bit more about. There we go. I'm going to get rid of me so you guys can see a bit more, a little bit. Here, I'll bump it up a little bit. I don't want to get, there we go. That's not too bad. A very long engagement by Sébastien Geprisot and Linda Coverdale as the translator. In January, and this is when I went, whoa, this is pretty big. In January night, like it's just not a normal little romance of, like I said, hey, I've been hanging out in a French woman's cupboard for 4 years. In January 1917, 5 wounded French soldiers, their hands bound behind them, are brought to the front at Picardy by their own troops, forced into the no man's land between the French and German armies, and left to die in the crossfire. Holy shit. Their brutal punishment has been hushed up for more than 2 years when Mathilde Donnet, unable to walk since childhood, begins a relentless quest to find out whether her fiancé, officially killed in the line of duty, might still be alive. Doesn't this kind of almost have like a little bit of remind you a little bit of the Path to Glory there, the Kubrick film there? I'm not, but it's just got the same vibe to it in a way. Tipped off by a letter from a dying soldier, the shrewd, sardonic, and wonderfully imaginative Mathilde scours the country for information about the men. As she carries her search to its end, an elaborate web of deception and coincidence emerges, and Mathilde comes to an understanding of the horrors and the acts of kindness brought about by war. A runaway bestseller in France and the winner of the 1991 Prix Interallié, I guess, the astonishing novel is many things at once, an absorbing mystery, a playful study of the different ways one story can be told, a moving and incisive portrait of life in France during and after the First World War, and a love story of transforming power and beauty. And I know I'm going to get probably in a little bit of trouble, but I don't really care. Because I am going to, I'm going to put him in the links, whatever. But Tough Bananas, we're going to go to here. Let's see if I can get away with it. Just tiny.
For as long as they've known each other, Mathilde and Manek have wanted to get married. But fate had other plans.
I mean, come on. That looks cool. So I get to stop because maybe that'll be just enough to not get me into trouble. I don't know. We'll find out later. Anyways, thank you so much, Andrew and Mike, but we're not finished with that little bit. We still got 20 minutes. And I did want to very, very quickly show you, because it's the comments primarily. Like I said, this brought me down a little garden path, and hopefully I'm going to hold on here. Present, share the screen. Oops. Present. There we go. You guys can see that. I'll get rid of me again. Make it big. Boink. So there you guys can see that. So this is it. My 4 years in a French woman's cupboard, which, like I said, it was due to the fact of me and Mike mentioning a very long engagement. And then from there, we're going to go into the comments because it's this one. Not this one. Where are you? Oh, darn it. Oh, this is it. And I don't know if you guys are going to read it. Probably not going to read it. I'll try it. And this was about the poisoned potatoes. I was like, what in the world? I said how he was interrogated by an officer who spoke better English than he did. They've been captured. And he knew more about the British Army. This poor guy signed up when he was, what does he say, 15. He was captured almost immediately. He said towards the end of the war, when the German army was having problems, him and a mate escaped their camp. They were bloody hungry. They came across some rotting potatoes. He was sensible, he said. His mate was dead 2 hours later. He made it into the Netherlands, and I turned up 60 years later to cut his grass, but got his story instead. Wow. Just knocked me sideways with it. That just blew me away. So thank you so much again, Mandarin Mike, for bringing this to our attention. Boink. And now we're going to go into the, see if I can find it here. I got to get into the, get into the Montreal Canadiens thingamajig. Yep, it's called Diary of Nicholas II, 1917-1918, an annotated translation. I'll put that in the sources and links. That's where you can get the Internet Archive thingamajig. And then later on, we're going to go to Christmas 1914 very quickly, but I wanted to go to the 1917 Stanley Cup Finals and also take a quickie look at that article. Oh my God. Well, we're doing okay. Everybody's still around, so that's good. Hold on here. I'm just going to make sure I pop it in. Still got a ton of stuff to look at, that's for sure. Jeez. Jeepers jumping. But I did get rid of some things, luckily, as in there's no week that was and all that fun stuff. But you guys can kind of see this, but I just wanted to read a little bit of it. Seattle won the PCHA title, and this was neat. I didn't even know about the Ottawa Senators, that they used to have that name. Says regular season in first place with a 16-8 record. Meanwhile, Montreal advanced to the final series after narrowly defeating the Ottawa Senators 7-6 in the two-game totals goals playoff series to end that season. The games of the Cup Finals were played in Seattle Ice Arena. Games 1 and 3 were played under whatever rules, blah, blah, blah. And you can see there, hopefully you guys can see it all. I don't know if you can. Yeah, you kind of can. There's the Seattle Metropolitans roster. And then we'll take a quickie look at the team photos. There's the Montreal Canadiens from way back when. Wild, eh? And there's the Seattle guys. And then a couple of ads. I love them. 8:30 start sharp. And there's another one. I just for some bizarre reason popped it on and I went, oh my God. I think it's a wink to yet again to Meandering Mike. Is it this one? Excelsior. When I saw that, I went, oh, that's so nice. Because he uses that quite a bit in a lot of his comments. So there we go, boink. All right, hopefully, oh, no. I still wanted to show you that the article there, Brian R. Smith article. And we'll pop it in there, and I'm just going to make sure that I make it to the width. Boink. It's a bit cut up, but I think you can read it. And share. And there we go. The Canadiens protest the Stanley Cup game. Hold on, I'm going to get rid of something you guys can't see. President Patrick will give decision in the matter this morning. Seattle, Washington, March 25th, basing his action on the allegation that Harry Mummery was banished from the game for 10 minutes, but that no substitute was allowed to take his place on the ice. Manager George Kennedy of the Canadiens Hockey Club yesterday made formal protest of the third Stanley Cup game, which was won by Seattle Friday 4-1. Kennedy submitted his protest to President Frank Patrick of the PCHA and wired to President Robinson of the National Hockey Association for instructions as to the proper procedure under the circumstances. President Patrick took the matter under advisement and announced that he would make public his decision no later than Monday morning, so that if the game Friday is thrown out, arrangements may be made for an added game if one is needed. Mummery was penalized 10 minutes in the second period on Friday night in Friday night's game for taking a crack at Frank Foyston, captain of the Seattle team, after an unsuccessful attempt to check Foyston, because of the fact that all the available Montreal men either were in the game or serving time on the penalty bench. The penalty was deferred and Mummery was required to serve his time off in the third period. So there you go. Hopefully you like that. I did. I thought it was quite just a little bit humorous. I enjoyed that. Oh yes, I wanted to show the Grog Shed's books, and I'm going to show it back and forth, and I'm also going to reveal his banner things that he did. So I don't know if you guys know that the Grog Shed just moved to the West Coast, so he's actually very close to Meandering Mike now. We found a wonderful bookstore, used bookstore. It's it's out in the country. So it's, oh, well, what am I doing here? I can also I can do both. Jeepers jumping. There we go. So you guys can see what the hell I'm talking about. There we go. So there's a books thing, and I'll make it bigger, and I'm going to put it wide so you guys can see it as well in a second here. We found a wonderful used bookstore. It's out in this country, so it's not one we can easily get to very often. Oh, I thought he was, good. Maybe it is good that you're not going to be able to get to very often. Their history section is so big, they've organized their books into eras and parts of the world. Fantastic. You're darn right it is. And then obviously I wanted to go and take a look. And you can kind of get a good idea of some of the books. I know it's a bit rasterized, but what do you want? But you can see there's some of those interesting. You can see there's Collision of Empires, Tapestry of War, which isn't not specifically World War One, I do believe. I might be wrong about that. I got it over there. I should go take a look. Oh, there's that one there, the World's War. That's really good. I don't know about these. Like, what are these? Like, these I found rather interesting. Are they like novels or what's going on here? I have no idea what's. Boy, oh boy, I'd certainly like to grab some fiction. All right, so we got that done, and we're going back to this. I'll put that down to hide, and we're down to, oh my gosh, let's get to the ATA stuff. Let me take a look and see what things I've missed, which is probably 4 trillion things. You guys didn't pick a movie, a video, so I'm gonna pick one of the 3. I think I know which one was the and then we're gonna go off to William Aaron's land for flipping sure and just stay there. Hold on, and then we're gonna go off to the after hours. Hold on here. I want to get into the playlist. Since you guys didn't pick, I'm not looking at the comments. Oh, Wardrobe plays World War II. Great to see you. Nice. I know. Let's be honest. He's going to be spending some money there, isn't he? Okay. Anyways, your thing is on the queue on a side thing. I voted for. Oh yes. Sorry. You're right. I'm glad you did actually, because it's really what I liked about it, it's not very long, so thank you. And secondly, was a big line of planes and everything, and I just think it was really nice to. He just seems like a really hands-on. Well, we know he was a hands-on leader. Okay, let's go to the. Got to get into there. There we are in the critical past. Okay, I'll present the screen. Yeah, so Wardrobe plays World War II. I've got I've got your Dear Mabel thing in the works. That's all I got to say. So it will happen. Well, I say that a lot, so maybe I should just shut up. Oh, brother, here we go. Does that? Yes, you can see it. Okay, there we go. And then I got to get down to it. And it's this one. Oops, I'm hitting the wrong thing. Now, yes, that's another thing before we start. Well, of course, I can continue talking while it happens, but still, who do you think the little boy is? Like that would I'd really like to know. Look at all the planes you're going to see in a minute. There's a ton. Look at them all. And remember, this is Belgium. A tiny little strip of land left, man. And Dunkirk, for goodness sakes, just got bombarded from the sea this week. The Germans went out for a little boat ride. I wonder what kind of plane this is. The little bat wings. I love that. That was the next one. I was like, wait a minute, what the heck's? So thank you guys thank you for Mike for picking it. So we got 8 minutes left. Let's go. Oh, yes, just super quick. I swear to God, William Aarons, we will go to it. We're going to your stuff. I just really wanted to show you guys this bit for junior general. And of course, I did it again. I got rid of the other other browsers. So I have to bring this puppy in here. I really wanted you guys to see this. Hold on, I grabbed the wrong one here, didn't I? No, I thought I did. Okay, there we go. Okay, here we go. And then we're going straight to your stuff. Present. Share screen. Boink. 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 Make me. So here, like I said, this is from the junior general site. And when I was going into taking a look at all their World War I stuff, I went, what in the world? You can actually play if you wanted to do the cutout. And that's why I was like, wait a minute. If I had a cricket, I'd be going freaking mental. Because that way you could do some, blow these guys up and do a really nice cut. Oh my gosh. But let's go here super quickly back to the World War I stuff. And just look at maybe I think I can bump it up just one more time. There we go. You guys can see that pretty darn good. Look at all this fun stuff that you can do. There was some really neat stuff. You can do like the Arab Revolt. It was really impressive. Look at all the stuff they have. Where's the Italian stuff? I thought there was another one that was like, oh, by the way, if you want tons of French, tons of African troops, if you wanted to do even proper Senegalese, not just Western African, anybody from Western Africa, that type of stuff. On and on and on. Geez, like I said, if I had where was the nice one I wanted you guys to? Oh, there was darn it. Anyways, it just goes on and on and on. There's Lawrence of Arabia. You wanted to do that. Or where was it? Oh my God, it was the Sarajevo thing. You can do the entire bloody, they have all the cars, everything. Is that nuts or what? I was just like, you've got to be joking. Okay, so hold on here. I'm going to put here and then we're going to go straight to the ATA and we're going to get rid of everything else. It makes sense. So your classifieds thing, Telemachus, as per usual, will have to get popped off to the side. Here we go. We're going to go to the, we're going to stop the screen, present this, and then I'm going to go into the, you guys are there. Good. All right, here we go. Thanks again, William Aarons, for your ATA. I had the other one from last week queued up as well, but let's go in with the one that you've got right out of the oven here. Translator, oh damn it, I forgot to italicize. I have to reconvert. It's a long story. Here are some articles from the Breslau newspaper. There are 3 dispatches concerned some events at sea and the honor extended by the Kaiser to the chief of staff for the Admiralty. Oh my God! And you also brought up you have I don't think it's in this one, but it's in the last ATA there with Conrad von Hotzendorf, as we know, got turfed a little while ago. Not too many left, eh? Well, Cadorna is still around. Who else? Well, Hindenburg, obviously, and what's his diddle there, Ludendorff. But anyways, yeah, he's got a good goodbye note for him. Anyways, here we go. There are 3 dispatches concerning some events at sea and the honor extended by the Kaiser to the Chief of Staff for the Admiralty. The next 2 concern internal events and plans inside Germany and the Central Powers. There's an article concerning a proposal to perform local taxes in Berlin and the surrounding communities. Oh boy, William Aarons, when I was reading this too, it reminded me, remember just a few weeks ago when we saw that those articles or whatever of, oh my God, trying to get towns to adopt a submarine and a submarine crew. I was like, oh my God, just to like to spread the financial pain around. Like, wouldn't you like to adopt a submarine? Oh my God. Oh, brother. There's an article concerning proposal to perform local taxes in Berlin and the surrounding communities. The last article is about a meeting held in Breslau, a city on the River Oder, about a planned series of canals joining the rivers Danube, Oder, Elbe to be built after the end of the war. Breslau newspaper, Thursday, 22nd of March, 1917. The large edition. The Mo has returned home after its second voyage. 123,100 gross registered tons sunk. Wenzel Telegraph Bureau, Berlin, 22nd March, official. His Majesty's Auxiliary Cruiser Mo has returned from its 2-month Titanic crossing voyage to its wartime home port under the command of Commander Burggraf, the Count of Doinschloden. The ship has taken 22 steamers to the bottom of the sea with 123,100 gross, whatever the hell registered to, I didn't read, I forgot now. That includes 21 enemy steamers except tons, I know that, which 8 were armed and 8 directly under the control of the English Admiralty, along with 4 enemy sailing ships. His Majesty's Auxiliary Cruiser Mo had also captured 593 prisoners. 2 English minesweepers are sunk by mines, which I thought was, well, I shouldn't laugh about it because that, let's be honest, that was a dangerous, bloody job to do. And a lot of times they got people that were like fishermen and whatnot. It was like, shit, man, this sucks. The Admiralty reported 2 minesweepers were sunk after hitting mines. In one case, no deaths were recorded. In the second, 14 men were reported as having been drowned. The Pour le Mérite awarded to Admiral von Hotzendorf. Okay, so here it is, von Hotzendorf. Berlin, 22nd of March. The Kaiser sent the following telegram to Admiral von Hotzendorf, the Chief of Staff for the Admiralty. Thank you. GRT, gross registered tons. Thank you. I thought Telemachus was going to beat you to it, to be honest with you. As I, on this current Remembrance Day, award you with the Order pour le Mérite, I will add my warmest regards and recognition of your leadership and the praiseworthy way in which you have performed your duty as my advisor in all matters dealing with the naval war. DJ Sideways, super great to see you. Just pop by and say, hi, you're doing well, my friend. Not bad, celebrating our 3rd year anniversary, man. Yeah, it's been fun. Hope you're doing well. I wish through this honor to extend the expression of my appreciation towards the entire staff of the Admiralty for their earnest efforts in doing their goal-oriented work. Translators note, the Breslauer newspaper had 2 articles concerning current domestic issues in Germany. The first about a proposed change to the local tax burden in Berlin. The second about a meeting in Breslau about a future canal connecting the rivers Elbe, Oder, and Danube. Whoa, really? This, I just found the Danube, that's a bit impressive. This waterway was meant to create closer ties between Germany and Austria-Hungary after the war. Mind you, the Danube is one hell of a long freaking river, isn't it? Holy moly. This vision of plans for future infrastructure was reliant on the Central Powers winning the war. Dus, whatever, House of Representatives, lower house of the Reichstag, Berlin, 22nd of March, special wire report. On Thursday, the House of Representatives concerned itself with the question of how to balance the load of taxation for Greater Berlin. Hello, boss, Mrs. Thanks for another great show next week. I'm traveling to Paris. Oh, you lucky little devil. And I'll see you. We'll miss next session next Saturday. If I have time, I will try to pass by the World War I Museum in Meaux near Paris. Wicked. And please take pictures or do something for us. Would be super nice. Thanks. Hope you have a great time, Harold Bossman. I'm so glad you were able to be here for, well, our 3-year anniversary, man. It's been awesome, hasn't it? All right, here we go. On Thursday, the House of Representatives concerned itself with the question of how to balance the load of taxation for Greater Berlin. The debate was initiated by a petition by the communities that are situated to the north and northeast of Berlin, which are in a financial crisis. This is happening because of the allegedly great migration of the prosperous middle class or bourgeoisie from those towns and localities to central Berlin and the western suburbs. The petition stated that the city of Berlin and those western suburbs must make additional contributions in the form of taxes to ease the burden of the less prosperous towns and neighborhoods. I admit this is also a bit touchy. I mean, this is coming out, what, a good week after the Tsar has abdicated. Like, it's like, maybe not the time to be talking about tax increases. This request from the north, but I mean, when you're in dire straits, I guess, this request from the northern and eastern communities have recently caused a big stir in the circles of the Berlin municipal politics. The chief reason for the petition being that this is where the working class lives, who feel that they have not received enough value for what they produce for the economy in relation to what they have to pay in municipal taxes. Therefore, allowances must be made in order to balance this financial burden by bringing in more tax revenue from the center of Berlin and the western suburbs, because that is either where the factories are located or where the factory owners live. In the local commissions, the members of the Conservative Party, the Free Conservative Party, the National Liberals, and the Centre Party opposed this proposed change to local taxation and the consideration of money transfers. Representative Castle of the Progressive Party opposed the proposal because he found it to be outrageous that some communities would be responsible for the tax burden of other towns. He believed that this would also contradict the principle of self-management. A member of the government replied that the government has not taken a definite position about the proposal, but it could still be sympathetic to the petition. The representative, Dr. Lichtmann of the National Liberal Party, who represents Charlottenburg in Berlin Center, moved himself in the direction of being against the petition towards the position held by Representative Castle. City and Province, Breslau, 22nd of March, 1917. A meeting about the building of a Danube-Elbe Order Canal has held this afternoon in the Festival Hall of the House of the Association for the Fatherland, which had as its chief guest speaker Dr. Pasch, a member of the Privy Council and the vice president of the Reichstag. Members of the German and Austro-Hungarian Economic League and the Workers' Commission of the Oder region were among the attendees. Dr. Pasch spoke to the very large group of participants with forceful words acknowledging the high importance of the subject of the canal. It is noteworthy that the relations of the economic life between Germany and Austria-Hungary today are so close, so easy, and so comfortable as possible, and that they will further be connected through the building of the waterway from the Oder and Elbe to the great and glorious landscape dominated by the Danube River. This canal connecting these three towns will aid transportation to the Baltic, North, and Black Seas, into which those rivers flow. Dr. Pasch also talked about his important working relationship with the High Curator of the Regulatory Commission of the Danube, von Steiner from Vienna, and the lawyer Brandt of the German-Austrian Economic Alliance. Many other officials from both Reichs who had responsibilities for both the economy and infrastructure of both imperial states also wished the project well. The speech expressed finally that the waterway should no longer be seen as competing with the railroads. In the past, the particular interests of different modes of transportation had them working against each other, but now will be the unity of all groups. Everyone can help to accomplish great things. The chief engineer of public works in Vienna, Gelderman, also spoke at the meeting. He said Vienna, that capital city on the Danube, was awaiting the building of these canals. They could be seen to completion within 6 years after the end of the war and could be fully operational in 8 years. After that, the publisher of the Danube Yearbook, Mr. Seretz, said that Hungary as well would be happy that a water connection would be made with these regions of Germany. The building inspector of Posen, Friostat, voiced his agreement to this project that included northeastern Germany. This would lead to a waterway connection between Posen and Breslau, also between Posen and Bromberg. Dr. Posch concluded that with the aid of the government and the parliament, great success could be expected. The gentlemen then decamped to the establishment's wine tavern for a communal midday meal. Translator's note, of course, this canal project would not be undertaken after the end of the Great War. The defeat of the Central Powers also ended the common interests and geographical unity of the two Reichs, with Austria-Hungary broken apart and the Posen region changing hands from Germany to Poland. I'm going to stop this bit and we're going to go to here, and I'm just about to do the after hours. I don't know if I mentioned this, guys, before we pop off into Wonderland. Well, obviously, I'm going to say yet again, I'm super ultra grateful to be able to engage with you guys every single week. My fellow flipping mud gluttons, it is freaking awesome. I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys. I know that a few of you know, like Zoe Dufour and Meandering Mike. I've been out trying to, did I? I'm not sure. Been out trying to get an encyclopedia for ages and ages and ages. Finally got one, a set. I picked it up last night. It took forever to finally come around, but talk about weird serendipity. I start mentioning the person about the encyclopedias, and I was like, oh, I'm going to mention them tomorrow on my my 3rd year anniversary from a show. I said, and he's like, well, what do you discuss? And I said, the Great War. And then he mentions, would you like to talk about this in our with some people here at the group? And I was like, I didn't know what he meant. So I was like, because I'm just going to someone's apartment complex or whatever. Mud glutton sounds like an overdose on chocolate mud pie. That would be wicked, wouldn't it? But yes, I love you. Well, I don't know. There's something about mud glutton. It just seems great. I just love it. So I'm like, I wasn't cluing in about this. And then later on, then he mentions the fact that he's living with a bunch of other veterans, and maybe they potentially would be interested in discussing the Great War and so on and so forth. And then as we're driving away in the cab, I noticed that the building he's in it says War Veterans Building. I was like, whoa, just all this weird serendipity, and this is all because of the channel. And you know what I mean? And next thing you know, things just keep on trucking. This is incredible as far as I'm concerned. And it's all, yet again, I'm just going to say this as well. It's all because of you guys. I mean, I wouldn't, these things would not, all these dots would not be connecting up as far as I'm concerned. I'd just be left alone all by myself doing whatever, you know? So thank you so much. That's it. Let me go and pop on the after hours thingamajig, and that's it. I'm going to turn into a texter like you guys, and I hope you guys have a great remainder of your weekend and a great week, and thank you so much. And I hope to goodness I see you next week as well, but I hope to see you next year for year 4. William Aaron says, I just sent you another ATA that you can use next week. Wicked. It shows how the Germans are hoping that tensions between England and France will break. Really? Oh my God, and there's another thing we didn't even talk about yet again, which is like, it seems like everything's going right, except of course we know the time is ticking about the Great War. You too, Corvinus Wargaming, and remember was it next week is the logic puzzle has got you written all over it as far as I know. Oh my gosh, come on, man. You guys are like, I just got to say that's it. 20 billion times over. I can't remember what I'm talking about. But yeah, the French mutiny is just around the corner, for God's sakes, after the Nivelle offensive goes, which hasn't happened yet. But the Germans will tell you when it's going to happen because they've known about it for ages. It's nuts. Oh my God, it's crazy, Bill Akers, isn't it? Okay, hold on. Let me put on the playlist thingamajig. Oh gosh, do I love hanging out with you guys every week. And to think, I was thinking about this earlier on this week as well. Or I mean, earlier this morning. I remember I've said this before to a few people. I can remember the very first, I don't know what, 40 maybe live streams where I could barely grab the mouse. My hand was like shaking like a leaf before hitting the live button. I was just so scared to death. And now I'm feel much better about it. It's it's because it is. I'm just hanging out. It's a fellowship. I'm hanging out with a great little community. It's just a wonderful, wonderful time, man. All right, here we go. And I have to just make sure that it's, there we go. Boink. All right, bye guys. Thanks again. Freaking awesome time. The war summary for April 28th to May 4th, 1916. The incessant call for more recruits in Great Britain is now believed to be due to knowledge that the Germans are about to launch a great attack on the British lines in Flanders and northern France. Colonel Remington, the military correspondent of the London Times, believes that 800,000 men have been concentrated by the enemy for this effort, which will not be long delayed. That troops are still moving in great numbers is deduced from the fact that the German frontier has been closed since Monday, and that for 20 days, neither passengers nor mails will be allowed to leave the country. Similar precautions against the leakage of military information were taken in February before the launching of the Verdun campaign, which is now recognized everywhere except at the headquarters of the Crown Prince as a hopeless failure. Will Sir Douglas Haig wait to be attacked, or will the British offensive, which military observers have talked of as likely to be begun in May or early in June, be launched at once in anticipation of the German move? Were the British commander-in-chief certain that the Germans would attack unreservedly as they have done at Verdun and give up opportunity of inflicting losses upon them similar in proportion to the losses at Verdun, he would be assuredly remain on the defensive, for that would be the surest method of destroying Germany's military strength. There are elements of doubt in the situation that must be taken into consideration. The great concentration of Germans in Flanders may be intended not to strike, but to resist a British stroke. If Sir Douglas Haig remains on the defensive till well on the season, awaiting a German advance, only to discover that no advance was intended and that the Germans have occupied the breathing spell in making their lines impregnable, his task will be a much more serious one than it would be were he to launch his intended assault at once. In the British official report issued last night, there are indications of growing activity all along the front. The Bedfordshire Regiment successfully raided the German lines near Carnoy. The Germans attacked the British trenches at Saint-Éloi, Hill 60, and Freyline. In every case, they were repulsed. The French Midnight Report tells of two semblances of attack by the Germans on the Verdun front east of the Meuse. On both occasions, the Germans arrested by the French curtain of fire were not able to leave their trenches. On the west side of the river, the German guns are intensely active against the French second line positions. Another infantry assault on Hill 304 and Dead Man's Hill is in course of preparation. The dirigibles of the French army are now being pressed into service in the bombing of the German encampments around Verdun. 3 took part in the operations on Wednesday night when many large projectiles were dropped around Étain and on the important Arnalville railway junction. All goes well in Armenia. A Petrograd report announced that south of Bitlis, the Turks have been driven from a series of mountain positions held by them. These positions were undoubtedly taken to prevent the army of the Grand Duke from reaching the valley of the Tigris, though through which pass the roads connecting railhead of the Baghdad Railway with the Turkish army now besieging Kut al-Amara. All right, here we go. The war summary for March 23rd to the 29th, 1917. Live stream 113 and our third anniversary. So let's hope this goes well. I'm going to say, from what I remember reading from this, oh, darn it, I forgot to do it again. There's some words I should wanted to pronounce. I've even written them down, but I could stop the thing and go do them. But of course, I'm not going to do that. That would break the universe. Anyways, let's. There's some really good stuff in here as far as I'm concerned. Here we go. All right, on the Hindenburg line, the Germans are making a stand. Heavy fighting is in progress in the Saint-Quentin and La Fère zones. General Haig reports that the enemy's resistance is increasing from west of Saint-Quentin to Arras. The French Midnight Report states that the Germans made repeated efforts to dislodge the French from their positions on the east bank of Saint-Quentin Canal, but were driven back. West of La Fère, the French and German troops are actively engaged. From Saint-Quentin to the Oise, the French advance was stubbornly contested at every point. North of Soissons, the French carried several villages in face of a strong opposition. The French line now runs along the Crozat Canal from Saint-Simon to Tergenay, less than 2.5 miles from La Fère. Strong, and this is a long freaking war summary compared to last week. I got away with murder last week. Strong resistance on both flanks of the German withdrawal is quite natural, according to Major General Maurice of the War Office. At these points, the enemy has the support of his big guns and does not show the same disposition to avoid battle. Yeah, I was amazed. I was really surprised, actually, how much it seems the Germans are fighting back. I was like, a lot to learn for me, man. Holy moly. The northeast of Arras, there is a revival of military activity. The British raided an enemy trench on Wednesday afternoon and took a few prisoners. Advancing in the open, the Germans attempted a counterattack, but were driven back with heavy losses. Early yesterday morning, a raiding party entered the British trenches north of Ypres, but were driven back after some lively fighting. Southeast of Lens, the machine guns broke up a German raiding party. The salient east of Péronne, between the plains of Cambrai and the Somme, has been abandoned by the Germans under the terrific pressure of the British advance. Loisel and Vermont may be entered by the British at any moment. The advance, it is reported, has been carried to a point 4 miles north of Ypres. From 20 miles south of Arras, the enemy is falling back slowly under cover of cavalry screens. The German reports make no mention of any further retirement and tell only of minor engagements between advanced detachments. Wireless dispatches from Berlin states that there is a growing feeling in Germany that trench warfare has come to an end, and German cavalry is again employed against the Allies, lending the color to the German belief that a real battle is about to take place. It may be Hindenburg's intention to recoil with all his force before the Allies have time to perfect their new lines of defense. The territory recovered by France in the present advance includes 366 towns and villages. However, the enemy still holds 9 times as much territory as he has evacuated. The devastation, hold on, I gotta drink some water. France by the retreating Germans is attributed to political motives by the Major General Maurice. His theory is that the enemy hopes that by these exhibitions of barbarism to force the French to clamor for peace. The abandoned country has been turned into a desert land by the retiring foe who has wantonly destroyed the homes of the people. North of the Arras, there are indications that the enemy is preparing to fall back. And remember those 2 beautiful examples we saw last week there, talking about from Storm of Steel there with Ernst Younger and also Edith Wharton mentioning there in her book. Anyways, the mystery of the German retirement was discussed by Major General Maurice in his weekly interview with the press. At present, all attempts to theorize as to the enemy's designs in withdrawing as to the ultimate line of defense are, according to this authority, purely speculative. He regards it as by no means certain that the enemy will make a stand on the Cambrai Lyon line. Since this interview was given, the news from the front suggests that the Germans are endeavoring to slow up the Allied advance. Another American vessel sunk by a German submarine is the steamer Hilton, which went down in the North Sea. 7 of the crew reached land in a boat. The Hilton sailed from Chester, Pennsylvania on January 26th from Rotterdam with over 2 million gallons of oil. She was owned by the Standard Oil Company and carried a crew of 38 men. Premier Lloyd George has blessed the Russian Revolution. While careful to recognize the part played in this war by the old regime, he believes that the revolution, whereby the Russian people have based their destinies on a sure foundation of freedom, is the greatest service which they have yet made for the cause for which the Allied peoples have been fighting since August 1914. I find this next sentence fascinating. Mr. Lloyd George emphasized the fact that this war is at the bottom a struggle for popular government and for liberty. Fascinating stuff. That's a lot of stuff there, man. As a corollary to that, to this pronouncement, Mr. Bonar informed the British House of Commons that the government has decided on its own responsibility to make another attempt to solve the Irish question. As far as I remember, actually, when I first read that, I was like, boy, that's gotta be the engagement question of the week. Holy moly. Apart from the political issues on an Irish settlement would be of primary military importance to Britain at the present juncture. There must be at least 50,000 British troops in Ireland at the present time that might be released for immediate service at the front were a reconciliation effected between the two countries. It is recognized by the German press that the democratic victory in Russia is a tremendous moral gain for Britain and France. The new Premier of France, Mr. Ribot, is also alive to the importance to the Allies of moral victories through the spread of democratic institutions. Speaking in the Chamber of Deputies, he expressed the opinion that the Constitution of a Society of Nations for the Preservation of Peace postulated the growth of liberty and democratic evolution among the nations thus associated. The Russkaya Volya, a Petrograd journal, appearing on the streets yesterday with the startling headline, "Long live the Republic." Oh, the standardization of ships is one of the plans adopted by the British government for accelerating the output of new vessels. 3 sizes have been chosen as representing the classes of ships most in use. Vessels of 18,000, 5,000, and 3,000 tons, respectively. The principle of standardization will doubtless survive the war, as it is not only economizes in the time required for building, but also reduces the cost. It's because I was thinking of something else, which is when I was looking at it, I was like, my God, and I'm sure game designers are so happy that you're standardizing the ships too later on for countermaking and whatnot. Just saying. And the rules. Canada and the United States are entering into closer relations in view of the common interest in the success of the Allied armies. Sir Herbert B. Ames, representing the Canadian Patriotic Fund, accompanied by Commodore Emilius Jarvis, will meet and confer with the prominent United States officials at Washington and New York. I wonder when they were already starting to train or allow American observers to pop on over into Canada. I remember they were even looking. Remember there was that British officer there on top of the tank when they were testing out the proto tanks there in the United States, the tractor thingamajigs. Anyways, the Canadian mission will set before the American officials and the public the line of action taken by Canada in organizing for national service in wartime, including recruiting. You know, that was one of those critical past videos we watched, and I just remember going, "What the hell is a British officer doing here?" Like in the United States when they're neutral, and he's on top of a pseudo tank. I was like, "What the hell?" Fighting along the entire Western Front between the Ross and the Aisne, the opposing armies are now engaged in a gigantic struggle for the mastery. Remember, it was also yet again about the submarine parts being smuggled across to Canada and whatnot, and all that big stuff there with the Bethlehem Steel Company. Anyways, infantry, cavalry, and artillery have been thrown into the fight at several places along the Hindenburg Line. Losses on both sides were enormous as the Germans launched violent counterattacks against the persistent advances of the Anglo-French armies. What the hell was his name? the president. He was all involved in that. Cheapers jumping. Anyways, the greatest battle of the war is now on, according to the opinion of military observers at the front. The belief is prevalent that Hindenburg is determined to seek a decision on the present battlefront. Something like Charles or something like that with it as well. Schwab or I don't know, something like that. Sanguinary fighting took place south of Saint-Quentin and Saint-Simon along both banks of the Somme-Crozat Canal and at the village of Artan and Sacré-Cœur-le-Grand. Under the terrific weight of the German onslaught, the French reeled, but recovering quickly, fiercely counterattacked, driving the enemy back to the northeast of Saint-Quentin Canal to a depth of from a quarter to and a half miles. My God, I wonder if someday, if we get to maybe episode 226, I'm going to be a hell of a lot better. I hope so. Goodness gracious. North of Soissons to the west and south of Margival, alternate successes and reverses for both sides are reported. Entire regiments of German troops in mass formations were flung against the French line. Against the terrific gunfire and infantry attacks, the French made headway in the direction of Margival, which is on the railroad to Guignecourt. Along the Ailette front, the French forces pushed ahead on both sides of the Oise, crossing the heights of that river to the northeast of Ternier, where their objective is La Fère. From the captured heights, the French now dominate La Fère. As soon as their heavy guns are brought into place, the enemy positions will be subjected to galling fire. The Germans have inundated the country around La Fère to obstruct the Allied advance in this sector. The British salient at Beaumetz is pushing towards Cambrai. British and German patrols were in contact along the line of considerable strength, were beaten off south of Arras and near to the, from south of Arras to Entrailles. Maybe I should have just went to the next sentence. Good God. German counterattacks of considerable strength were beaten off south of Arras and near the center of the line. East of Arras, a successful British raid was carried out. At 3 points, the German rear guards held up the British advance near Azincourt-le-Bas, Beaumetz-le-Cambrai, and Vracourt. The German rear guards were in considerable strength at these points. The British advance is slow, the troops feeling their way with great caution and not forcing the issue. Where the British and French forces are joined, southeast of Péronne, the British commander is pushing the enemy with great vigor. Cavalry scouting patrols are actively engaged on both sides. For the first time since the beginning of the war, German Uhlans have again appeared on the Western Front. The British are keeping in close touch with the German rear guards along a line running east from Bapaume toward Cambrai and west of Saint-Quentin. The opposition encountered by the British southeast of Arras was very strong. It was only after heavy fighting that General Haig's advanced forces succeeded at various points in making progress. The extreme left of the Allied line, where signs of military activity are increasing, presents physical features different from those to the south. Immediately north of Ypres are the low-lying districts of Flanders, characteristics of that part of the country. North of that, about 8 miles from Ypres, is the inundated section. This flooded region varies in width from 2 to 3 miles, except at Dixmude, where the ground is high. Remember, that was the sluice gates there. I keep saying I'm going to look up, and I still haven't. Here, the opposing forces are close to one another, and bomb fighting is a frequent occurrence. At this point, the enemy at one time succeeded in crossing the Yasser to the west of Dixmude, but was driven back with great loss. The river crossing is now held by the Belgians. South of this place, the Belgian line follows the canalized section of the river. To the north, it hugs the railroad to Nieuwpoort. The last section of the Belgian line between Nieuwpoort and the North Sea is a belt of sand dunes. Behind the Belgian army is a strip of Belgian soil. All that is free from the foot of the invader of 10 miles. The towns and villages in this little strip of Belgian territory have been reduced to ruins, by German shells, including Nieuwpoort, Fournet, and historic Ypres, sacred forever to the memory of the Canadian defenders. Desolation and horror brood over the country to the rear of the Belgian line. Tall church spires and willows, broken and twisted by the fires of the guns, stand like gaunt sentinels above the barren flats. On the sand dunes, the soldiers wear goggles to protect their eyes in the blinding sandstorms that frequently take place. Here, incessant fighting goes on at close quarters. My God, I would love to have some images of that. Holy moly. A smashing defeat of the Turks on the Persian border is announced from Petrograd. Advancing west from Kermanshah, the Russian forces in this region are now within 45 miles of the Mesopotamia border. The battle took place in the outskirts of Kermanshah and lasted for 16 hours, the Turks falling back on Kirin, about 45 miles from the border. The mountain range runs from Kirin, the last obstacle between the Russians and Mesopotamia. North of this region, the Russian column operating west of Hamadan is pushing along the river Shirwan, a tributary of the river Diyala. As General Ahmad is a force pushing north along the banks of the Diyala, the position of the Turks on the Persian border is becoming more critical. Near Lake Van, in southern Turkish Armenia, the Russian force advancing southward has scored a victory over the enemy, capturing men and supplies on the southwestern shore of the lake. I think later on in this war summary as well, they talk about Lake Van as a future tourist spot and whatnot. It was quite neat to hear about that. Anyways, hold on, I gotta take some water. Oh, be quiet. It's the cat, Leo. Plus, the atmosphere in the United States is more warlike. A dispatch from Washington states that the government has decided to face the situation by preparing for offensive and defensive war, in addition to the measures already adopted for the protection of shipping. The Army and Navy will be put on a war footing and the industrial resources of the country organized to meet any emergency. In Britain, there was some uneasiness as to the effect upon munition supplies from the United States of the mobilization of military resources in the Republic, but latest reports indicated that the government at Washington will aid the Allies in men, money, and munitions. The bread ration in Germany will be reduced by 1/4 beginning April 15th. The Ides of April, which I found out just a little while ago, is a thing. According to it, maybe, because I'm not sure if it's specifically the 15th of April. I have to go and Mary Michael, no. According to a dispatch from Berlin to an Amsterdam newspaper, the meat ration will be increased while the potato ration of 5 pounds per week will remain as it is. Oh my God. I don't know if we're going to see it, but I found out about the fact that, oh yes, it was about, I was there. It's part of the Western Front Association thing. So it's actual audio recordings of people from the that were in the Great War. And this guy's talking about the fact that they escaped not this bit. It was part of a forum thing or like a comments thing about another person that was there. They had escaped and his buddy, they found some rotten potatoes. He didn't eat them. His buddy did and died 2 hours later from solamine poisoning or something. I was like, I had no idea about that. Anyways, let's get to this. The bread reduction due to the scarcity of wheat has caused painful surprise. One German newspaper states that for many, the limits of the bearable are thereby exceeded. Yeah, I had no idea about that, about potato poisoning. An important French advance against Saint-Quentin is officially reported in a midnight dispatch from Paris. Territory embracing Castres and Esseigny-le-Grand, extending over a front of 2.5 miles. Just shut up, Chris. Of 2.5 miles has been occupied. The fighting continues, the French claiming heavy German losses. 2 important fortified defenses of La Fèvre have been captured by the French. The desperate resistance by the Germans was broken down by the fierceness of the French attacks. The French soldiers, deeply stirred by the atrocious barbarities of the retiring foe, pressed home the attacks with great dash and vigor. The enemy is making a stubborn stand, fighting foot by foot for possession of the disputed territory. The Paris Midnight Official Report states that the French are attacking the German line from the Somme to the Oise. Where the French have succeeded in occupying new ground, the enemy's violent counterattacks have failed to dislodge them. After the capture of the enemy's important position of Castres, Essigny, Le Grand, and Hill 121, the French had to meet a fierce counterattack between Essigny and Benay, but the destructive fire of the French guns smashed the enemy's attempts to retake the lost ground. South of the Oise, the French reached the outskirts of Foulambray and Coucy-le-Château. Near Foulambray, the French guns mowed big gaps in a column of German troops on the march and inflicted heavy losses on the enemy. Northeast of Soissons, east of Margival, the French offensive has been pushed as far as Craonne, where the guns on both sides are actively engaged. Craonne is about 5 miles from the important junction of Guignecourt, which is midway on the railway between Lyon and Reims. 7 miles east of Péronne, the British advanced force occupied Roselle. At Beaumetz-les-Cambrai, the apex of the British salient threatening Cambrai, the Germans gained a temporary footing in a counterattack, but were driven out when the British resumed the offensive. On Saturday, on a front of 1.5 miles, the British advanced to the southwest and west of Écou-Saint-Mois, southeast of Choiseul, an important town between Beaumetz-les-Cambrai and Beauvais. In the Choiseul region, the enemy made repeated attempts to raid British posts. East of Arras, a British raiding party entered the enemy's second lines. East of Neuville-Saint-Vaast, the enemy's dugouts were successfully raided and bombed. Around Ypres, the guns were active on both sides. 3 explosions were caused in the enemy's lines. And here's Stuart Lyon again. From the Canadian front, Stuart Lyon reports artillery attacks on the German batteries. And damn, I would love to find out about him, and I just can't. I don't. So far, well, I haven't done a major whatever, but you know what I mean. Some of which were put out of action. The bombardment continues. Canadian patrols are vigilant, and prisoners trickle through daily. From the appearance of those captured, Mr. Lyon concludes that some of the best German troops are on the Canadian front. From the same source, it is revealed that the health of the Canadian troops is excellent. Aerial activity increases in the Western theater of war. 2 important railway junctions were bombed by British aeroplanes. A number of aerial fights were witnessed. 8 of the enemy's aircraft were driven down, and 4 British machines are missing. The grand armies of the Allies, while still advancing on the Western Front, moved more slowly under the increasing pressure of the enemy's main forces. At every point where the Allied advance was challenged, the Germans were forced to yield the superior military strength. The obstacles to be overcome make the Allies cautious. The French tried to cross a canal at 5 different places to find that the enemy had mined and blown up the bridges. Every well on the march has been rendered useless, and all the water for the troops and inhabitants has to be brought up in water wagons. Columns of cavalry and advancing infantry taking cover in the open are sights that now meet the eye of the observer, long accustomed to the dull monotony of trench warfare. Brigade commanders have left their comfortable headquarters and are directing operations in the field from huts and dugouts. The ruined villages evacuated by the enemy are, according to the Associated Press correspondent, once more humming with life as Allied establishments take up their quarters in the flanks of the advancing troops. I don't know about you, but I get monster visions of this, and I can hear the sounds. Oh, it's just wild. In Macedonia, the French now occupy all the important heights to the north of Monastir. The French official report characterizes as false the German reports of the fighting in this region. The Germans bombarded Monastir with incendiary shells. On the Romanian front, the Russians were forced to retire 2/3 of a mile when the enemy attacked their positions between Stilcha and Chernach. On the Austro-Italian fronts, the bad weather is interfering with military operations. Raiding attacks are frequent on both sides, and there is great artillery activity on the Julian front and on the Carso. And Caporetto is this. Well, obviously this year we just saw the bloody game there. The Europa Simulazione game there that Harold Bosma's got. He says he's playing right now. That is so cool. I was like, well, I hope to God we ask him about it. Anyways, the Grand Duke Nicholas has been succeeded temporarily in the command of the Russian armies by General Alexiev, chief of the general staff. Reuter's dispatch from Petrograd says the change was due to the desire on the part of the new government to eliminate the Romanov family. Oh my God, sorry, that's just like a bit of a foreshadowing. To eliminate the Romanov family from all responsible offices. The announcement that the Constitutional Democratic Party at Petrograd favors a republic makes it evident that the revolutionary leaders have not reached a definite settlement of the constitutional issue. Guess who's coming to town, though? The danger from a military point of view is aggravated by a strong belief on the part of the Russian pacifists that the success of the revolution in Russia will stir the German soldiers to revolt against their rulers, thus ensuring a speedy termination of the war. Meantime, the government is assuring the world of its determination to fight to the end, while Germany is reported to be preparing for a big offensive against the Russians. The situation would be greatly relieved were the fighting in the east resumed. A German offensive would do more to consolidate New Russia than paper constitutions. The situation in Russia is causing considerable anxiety to the other allies. The new Minister of War has issued a proclamation warning the people of Petrograd that the enemy is concentrating on the northern end of the line great quantities of munitions, supplies, and men, while Petrograd is full of German spies. Now that Russia is passing through a transition stage, the enemy hopes, no doubt, by a quick and powerful drive in Petrograd to force a separate Russian peace. Oh my God, just sounds like the game upstairs. Here was in other critical periods of the war, the enemy has to deal with several disturbing factors. That on the Western Front may upset German plans against Russia. Reuter's correspondent at Petrograd evidently regards the situation as not entirely encouraging. That the foe is at the gate, he asserts, no mere figure of speech. He is of the opinion that the slightest relaxation on the part of Russia would give Germany the opening she has so long been seeking. The pursuit of the Turks retiring from Western Persia is nearing the Mesopotamian border. The town of Kirin, 45 miles from the border, is now occupied by the Russians. That was quick. If General Maud succeeds in cutting off the retreat of these Turks, the power of Turkey in this region will be broken forever. The Turkish soldiers in this region are badly fed and look far from warlike in their ragged green uniforms. Oh, here it is. Lake Van in Armenia, where the Russians are pushing southward, is about the size of Lake Geneva, but higher and more picturesque than the highest Swiss or Italian lakes. Lake Van is as salt as the Dead Sea or Great Salt Lake, and may one day become a most popular health resort. Around its shores, orchards, vineyards, and wheat fields yield abundantly, as in the days of Harun al-Rashid. And I'm also wondering about, like, maybe even way back when during the kingdom of Urartu and stuff, huh? With the continued success of the Russo-British forces in Asiatic Turkey, the native tribes are falling away from Ottoman influence. In his days of adversity, the Turk will have few friends among the races over which he has ruled for centuries. It is this that makes the greatest retreat of the Turks in Mesopotamia such a bitter draught for the oppressors of the alien races of the Ottoman Empire. And now I'm sure Corvinus Wargaming has probably been to Lake Van, the lucky little devil. I wonder if he swam in it. The British drive on Cambrai has reached the village of Lagnicourt, which was attacked and captured yesterday. 30 prisoners and a machine gun were taken. Lagnicourt is 4 miles north of the Bapaume-Cambrai Road. I'm just going to say, every time I know I'm butchering a French word, I can feel Brian R. Smith cringing, going, oh, tabarnak. Oh, sorry, anyways. The British line of the Arras-Bapaume section now runs east of Arras through Bovin, Croisel, Lagnicourt, and Beaumetz-les-Cambrai. After the capture of Lagnicourt, the enemy counterattacked from the east and northeast of the village, but the attacks were repulsed. Determined to regain the lost village, the enemy advanced for the third time, but was caught in the open by the British guns and dispersed. North of Beaumetz-les-Cambrai, the enemy attempted to bomb the British out of their defenses, but was beaten back. South of Armentières at I better watch out for that one. Yeah, let's just stop. And east of Ypres, the British machine guns broke up enemy raids. Think I would never go drinking in there in that town. I can tell you that much. The guns were very active on both sides during the day, unless I wanted to spend the night in jail. Oh my God. South of, there's another one of Couchy Forest. God. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. The French, maybe almost hit pause and just relax for a second. The French yesterday took the towns of Fontambray and Foy. North of Soissons near Bregnay, the French troops also advanced. Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just been one hell of a stressful week, and I've still got a ways to go. Oh my gosh. Anyways, there was lively fighting during the French attacks on Fontambray and La Foy. Thank God I'm at least over the 50% mark. We're at page 7. I'm about to go to page 8, and there's only 12. The defense of Constantinople is the next move in the part of Germany. The breakup of the Turkish defenses in Persia and Asiatic Turkey and the rapid advance of the Anglo-Russian armies in this region bring the future of Constantinople once more into the military limelight. A dispatch from London says that Field Marshal von Mackensen, which I found really interesting, according to a report from Switzerland, has arrived at Constantinople to reorganize the Turkish army. My God, he's like a freaking Swiss Army knife for Germany. It's just nuts. On the Eastern Front, the Germans seem determined once more to try their luck, taking advantage of the political unrest to launch an attack on the Riga-Vinsk line of battle. Gas has been used by the enemy in his latest drive against the Russian positions at Vinsk. 4 gas waves were directed against the Russian lines, but gas is no longer the serious factor in warfare it proved to be in its opening stages on the Western Front. Under cover of the gas attacks, the German infantry moved against the Russian positions at Postavi, but were driven back. The German menace on the northern line has caused no panic at Petrograd. The new Russian commander is a capable soldier and may be relied upon to maintain the reputation of the Russian army for brilliant strategy and indomitable courage and resource. The chief cause of anxiety outside Russia is as to the attitude of the Russian soldier. Is he obsessed with the idea that the German soldiers are ready for revolution? The fighting at Vinsk does not reveal any weakening of the antagonism between the Slav and the German. So long as the military organization is not weakened by the retirement of experienced commanders, discipline will carry the Russian soldier through the campaign. There is little doubt but that the other allies, including Britain, endeavored to avert the revolution in the interest of the military efficiency. Isn't this a bit candid, don't you find? And did all in their power to persuade the Tsar to make concessions. I'm going to have to just go with it. As we know, I'm not a historian. Just lots of opinions, though. That's for bloody sure. In launching the attack against Petrograd, the Germans are reviving their original plans. Situation at the head of the Gulf of Riga, the Germans count upon the support of the Finns in promoting their plans. It will be recalled that on the outbreak of the revolution, there was some trouble at Helsingfors, a port on the Gulf of Finland. The governor of Finland was deposed, and a first step in the reconciliation of the Finns was taken when the revolutionary leaders were promised them autonomy. I wonder if somebody's made a game of that. I'm sure of it. At a time when democratic countries like Britain adopt autocratic methods for the carrying on of war, the reversal of this policy on the part of a country long subject to the autocratic rule of the Romanovs is an experiment that is not without grave risks. The Turks retreating from Persia has been driven across the border by the pursuing Russians. The enemy is now falling back through the village of Mosul in the direction of Kanikan, which is on the river Shirwan. The Russians occupied the Caliban fortifications. The Turkish rearguard is holding the heights in this neighborhood. A junction between the British and Russian forces may soon be reported. In the Balkans, the Germans resorted to liquid flame in an attempt to recover lost positions north of Monastir. After a temporary occupation of one of the French trenches, the enemy was driven out in a counterattack. East of Lake Doran, the British raided the enemy's lines and brought back prisoners. If I do remember correctly, the Junior General website, when I looked at it's the only land battle they have for the Great War. It's I think the one of, is it about that? I think it's about that. I'll have to go check again. But it's about that. And you can see the Germans with their, you can actually like print out a thing with like a flamethrower, which I thought was pretty cool. Anyways, thrilling tale. Oh yes, this one's neat. A thrilling tale of the wars, that told by the priest of Boyen, who for over 2 years lived with the German lines on French soil. I'd like to look this guy up. According to the priest, there will be a terrible reckoning in Germany when peace comes. The brutality of the officers to the men is incredible. Did not one know to what brutal depths the German military machine can descend? What strikes one reading this vivid recital of his experiences is that the priest apparently does not look for a revolution in Germany until the German army is beaten to its knees and civil life is once more resumed in the fatherland. If the German soldiers can endure such goading indignities at the hands of their officers and still retain their discipline, it is difficult to conceive of a revolution in Germany so long as the Kaiser keeps the field. Hold on here. All right. The new German trenches have been reached by the, oh yes, now we're getting into the Hindenburg Line proper. Well, not in them. I mean, the Germans are in them, that's for sure. The new German trenches have been reached by the retiring foe in many sections, and a stubborn resistance to the Allied advance is being made. Despite the rainy weather, the British and French maintain their pressure on the German line, and yesterday occupied several places of military importance. The continuous pressure on the Hindenburg Line is most marked in the forest between the Oise and Coucy-le-Château, where the French turning movement is being pushed with horse, foot, and artillery. The Berlin official statement admits that the German troops in this sector gave way before superior French forces in order to avoid being outflanked. After occupying Coucy-le-Château during the day, the French, who already held the northern half, captured all the lower forest of Coucy and several villages adjoining. The French now hold the outskirts of the forest of Saint-Gobain, while north of Soissons, they have pushed ahead. South of La Fère and west of Lyon, the French are engaging the enemy with increasing vigor. Oh my God, and the Nivelle-Meber offensive, I don't know when that exactly happens. We should go look it up. But, I mean, holy moly. On the British front, the advance was pushed still nearer to the Saint-Quentin-Cambrai road. General Haig's troops captured the villages of Longa-Vesnay, Liramont, and Aquincourt. North of Beaumetz-les-Cambrai, the British counterattacked and recovered positions captured by the enemy on Monday night. The internment in Holland of 4,000 German troops who, it is said, crossed the border in search of food is very significant. The news comes from The Hague and is based on reports from the frontier. If true, this defection speaks volumes for the condition of the German army, and also volumes that Holland is playing ball with the Allies. So, I mean, they're doing their neutral part. The campaign in Mesopotamia is proceeding favorably for the Allies. Although little news is trickling through the doings of General Maud's forces pushing up the Tigris and Diyala. I'm not. Was it British troops almost at the very beginning? They're like, sorry, you're on Dutch territory. We're interning you. I think that's what it is. And so it's like tit for tat. I have to look that up again. My God, I do this all the time. A lot of whatevers. The British and Russian operations are coordinated to one end: the overthrow of Ottoman rule and influence in Asiatic Turkey, and control of the freaking whatevers we know. Several Allied offenses are now united in one objective. A British force is advancing in Palestine and must now be nearing Jerusalem. It is under the command of General Sir Archibald Murray. The Russian forces from Western Persia are harrying the retreating Turks in that region, endeavoring to drive them into the arms of the British, pushing northward from Baghdad. For the second time, the Russian commander, General Baratov, is nearing Kanakin, which his southern force driving the Turks back on the Baghdad railway, while the northern Russian army is advancing on Mosul, where the unfinished section of the railway turns westward. These Anglo-Russian forces in eastern Mesopotamia should, in the ordinary course, effect a junction with the Russian forces moving southward from the Caucasus region and link up with the British army moving on Aleppo. When the Allied armies join forces, they will form an effective barrier from Alexandretta on the Mediterranean to Trebizond on the Black Sea. Military observers are of the opinion that the Turkish lines of communication are severed, and the retreating Turks will find it difficult to obtain supplies in a hostile country. With Mesopotamia cleared of the enemy, the drive on Constantinople will begin. And I'm going to pause for a second. All right. Italy is preparing for a big Austro-German offensive. The political, and maybe that's Caporetto, I don't know. The political and economic conditions in Austria-Hungary necessitate a renewed attempt against the Italian front, with the object of driving Cadorna's troops from the heights which they wrested from the Austrians last summer. The Austrians not only failed in their last offensive on the Italian front, but were so weakened by the effort as to fall on easy prey to Brusilov's army in Volhynia. The Italian line is now coordinated with the British and French Western line. A smashing blow at Austria in this region would go far to detach her from Germany. The relations between the Austrians and Germans are far from cordial. Italy had scarcely recovered from the exhausting financial strain of her conflict with Turkey when the present war broke out. Although she was slow to make the final step and break with her old allies, her entry was made at a time when she had reached more stable financial conditions. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sure that's why she did it then. She has received considerable aid, financial and otherwise, from Britain and France, and faces the coming campaign with the confidence begotten of last year's victory. Yesterday, the Austrians captured a section of Italian trenches along the Julian front on Hill 125, but their offensives at other points were repelled. Whoa, just think of this. This is freaky weird to think that how scared the Allies must have been in a weird way. I mean, my God, they must have been really hyper to get the Americans over. I mean, the Russians just fall, and in a minute or two, the Italians are going to get their arses kicked in Caporetto. Holy smokes. Russia. And then you've got the mutiny with the French. Oh, my God. Anyways, I'm just like, I mean, there must have been some freaking sweaty armpits going on. France will call out, and it's just amazing. It just blows me away what happens. Russian retirement was forced by an enemy gas attack south of Vilna. Well, I guess that one worked. According to a Petrograd dispatch, on the northern Romanian front, there are signs of a renewal of hostilities. France will call out the 1918 class of recruits, according to a government. This is another candid paragraph. According to a government bill in the chamber, The decision to call up this class is due to similar action on the part of the Central Powers. It was nice to see that. In defending the measure, the new Minister of War in France was entering on a decisive phase of the war, and that the word decisive did not mean brief. More important still, the minister deprecated and depreciation of the enemy owing to his retirement. This, he declared, was no evidence that Germany was weakening. On the contrary, added the French Minister of War, Germany is assembling an army greater numerically and more solidly equipped than ever before. The bill was passed. Boom. France does not underestimate the task that lies ahead of the Allies. 2 more pages to go. Astride the Saint-Quentin-Cambrai road, the British troops continue to make progress in this region. Although the weather is bad, the cavalry is giving the enemy little rest. Along the French Western Front, artillery actions are in progress. Heavy fighting took place in the Champagne region, where the Germans penetrated a section of the French first-line trenches. The Germans suffered heavy losses in an unsuccessful attempt to capture the village of Maison de Champagne. North of Roselle, the British cavalry captured the villages of Villers-Faucon and Saulcourt. To the north of this region, south and west of Courtizel, on the Boyne-Lagnicourt road, the British captured ground from the enemy at 2 points. During Tuesday night, the enemy counterattacked at Écoincourt and were driven off with considerable losses. Écoincourt was taken by a single squadron of cavalry. Cool. The garrison continued firing as the cavalry, in extended formation, bore down on the outskirts of the town. As the cavalry dashed forward with the lances lowered, the Germans threw away their arms and equipment and fled. At Longavasne, the enemy also bolted, but at Villers-Faucon, the Germans offered a stout resistance before the place was captured. Remember, soldiers, they use that. They're getting down to that level of like a squad of cavalry. Anyways, heavy artillery fighting on the Essigny-Benet front was carried on yesterday between the French and Germans. The guns were actively engaged between the Somme and the Oise. There was no infantry fighting. South of the Oise and north of Soissons, skirmishes took place between patrols. There was brisk rifle firing at a number of points. In the Champagne region, the Germans precipitated a strong assault on the French positions west of Maison de Champagne after an intense bombardment. Attacking in great strength, the Germans succeeded in gaining a footing in the French first line. All the enemy's attempts against the French positions at Maison de Champagne were defeated. 2 German surprise attacks north of Tours failed on the left bank of the Meuse. The enemy's positions were shelled. Below Saint-Quentin, the French have concentrated all available artillery and are shelling the enemy with increasing violence. Park after park of artillery, I've never seen that before, has been brought up to press home the thrust in the salient. The pressure of the French between Saint-Quentin and the Aisne is making military experts doubt whether Hindenburg can hold his new lines when the heavy guns come into play. On the Macedonia front, west of Monastir, the enemy, after a furious bombardment of the French trenches, attempted to take possession but was held up by an artillery barrage. The total prisoners taken by the French in this sector during the recent fighting numbered over 2,000. The British shipping report for the week ending March 25th shows that 2,314 merchant vessels of over 100 tons net arrived at British ports. During the same period, 2,433 vessels of over 100 tons sailed from British ports. British vessels sunk by submarines during the number 18 of over 1,500 tons gross, including 2 during the previous fortnight, and the hospital ship Asturias. 7 British vessels under 1,500 tons also were sunk. 13 British merchant vessels were attacked by submarines and succeeded in foiling the enemy. 10 British Fighting boats, including 9 sailing vessels, were sunk during the same period. My God, I feel like I'm doing the ATA, but British version. A thrilling rescue of troops at sea off the southern point of Africa. Oh, yes, I wanted to look this up. Took place on February 9th. According to a belated report, the British transport Tyndareus struck a mine off Cape Agulhas. A battalion of the Middlesex Regiment was on board. The men were paraded on deck and sang while the vessel was slowly sinking. 2 steamers arrived in time to take the Middlesex men off the transport, which was fast settling by the head, with the propellers out of the water. The conduct of the men was beyond praise as they waited for what they believed to be the end. The food question in Germany was raised in the Reichstag committee yesterday, according to a Reuters dispatch from Amsterdam. The food controller stated that the seizure of all food in the country was imperative. Holy shit. On the Russian fronts, military operations on a minor scale are being continued. I just had a vision of somebody reading the newspaper with like a half-eaten something or other in his mouth, and he's like, on the Russian fronts, military operations on a minor scale are being continued, in which both sides share the honors. In Romania, the Germans have captured an important ridge in the Uzul Valley. An attack in force on the Russians at present is unlikely, owing to the condition of the roads. And early spring has rendered the terrain unfit for major operations. And that's it. And hopefully that went well for a 3rd year anniversary thingamajig. And hope you have a great remainder of your week and a great week coming up. And hope to see you at Livestream 114. All right. Bye. All right. Here we go for Livestream 114.